text number 30 and 31, 6th chapter of Bhagavad-Gita. Yo mam pashyati sarvatra sarvam chamai pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami sachame na pranashyati. Ya, whoever, mam, me, pashyati, sees, sarvatra, everywhere, sarvam, everything, cha, and, mai, in me, pashyati, sees, tasya, for him, aham, I, na, not, pranashyami, am lost, sa, he, cha, also, me, to me, na, nor, pranashyati, is lost. For a person, translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. Everyone can please repeat. For one who sees me everywhere, and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. Purport. A person in Krishna consciousness certainly sees Lord Krishna everywhere and sees everything in Krishna. Such a person may appear to see all separate manifestations of material nature, but in each and every instance, he is conscious of Krishna, knowing that everything is a manifestation of Krishna's energy. Nothing can exist without Krishna, and Krishna is the Lord of everything. This is the basic principle of Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is the development of love of Krishna, a position transcendental even to material liberation. At this stage of Krishna consciousness, beyond self-realization, the devotee becomes one with Krishna in the sense that Krishna becomes everything for the devotee, and the devotee becomes full in loving Krishna. An intimate relationship between the Lord and the devotee then exists. In that stage, the living entity can never be annihilated, nor is the personality of Godhead ever out of the sight of the devotee. To merge in Krishna is spiritual annihilation. A devotee takes no such risk. It is stated in the Brahma Samhita 538, Vrindavan churita bhakti vilochanena santasadaiva hridayashu vilokayanti yansyama sundaram achintya guna swarupam govindamari purusham tamaham bhajami. I worship the primeval Lord Govinda, who is always seen by the devotee, whose eyes are anointed with the pulp of love. He is seen in his eternal form of Shyamasundar, situated within the heart of the devotee. At this stage, Lord Krishna never disappears from the sight of the devotee, nor does the devotee ever lose sight of the Lord. In the case of a yogi who sees the Lord as Paramatma within the heart, the same applies. Such a yogi turns into a pure devotee and cannot bear to live for a moment without seeing the Lord within himself. Om Jnanatimidandasya Gyanam Jana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadah Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Does anyone feel it's a little warm in here? Yeah. Could we turn on some of these fans? Is that possible? Nice to feel the warmth of the devotees, but better in the heart. We're speaking about in the heart, so we'll work on in the heart. So up to verse number 28, Krishna is describing the yoga process. Krishna is speaking each chapter of Bhagavad-Gita to instruct a different group of people. Not to instruct Arjuna, but that Arjuna be his instrument to instruct so many other persons. Just like sometimes we go to a yoga society or something, or a group of people who are very much into yoga or some other thing, and we speak in those terms. So here Krishna is speaking in those terms. And up to verse number 28, Krishna speaks about the self, the development of the self, discipline, different attitudes that one must have, different types of austerities that one should perform. And of course, he breaks through the illusion that yoga is just something someone does in their spare time. And he says that but the yogi, how do they practice? They sit straight, their head and neck all in a straight line, meditating on the tip of the nose. And then the part which would drive most modern yogis away, strict brahmacharya. And most yogis would not be so happy, the modern day yogis, with such a proposition. So then in verse 28, he speaks about once the yogi has acquired all of these different qualities and disciplines and everything, then he can engage constantly in the yoga practice. And then he can engage in loving service to the Lord. Now, even though the Krishna is very carefully going through all these different processes, the process of jnana, the process of karma, now the process of yoga, Srila Prabhupada makes it very clear that the purpose of all this is to worship Krishna. Just like in verse 28, there's no mention of Krishna or the Lord, but Srila Prabhupada says perfect happiness and transcendental loving service to the Lord, when the actual word is Brahma Samvarsha. Then in verse 29, Krishna introduces the concept of that all beings are in me, but again, in the verse, there's no me, But just because Srila Prabhupada wants it to make very clear, that because there's so much Mayavad philosophy, not only in just the Mayavadis, just like Ravindra Swarup said that he heard Prabhupada talking about the Mayavadis, he thought it was some tribe in the Himalayas or something, but then he realized it was me. He was talking about me. So he says that now he gets into the subject matter of the super soul. So he says a person who sees things properly sees everything in one substance, in the Supersoul. And then in verse 30, which we just read, now he says, what is the result of that vision of the Supersoul? And of course here Krishna hints, really Krishna doesn't reveal himself fully as the Supreme Personality of Godhead in a concrete way until the next chapter, in verse number 7. But up to now, he's never really declared it, but he gives the indication. He hints at the idea that, because he says that yo mam pashati sarvatra, whoever sees everything in me. So he's indicating, I am that Paramatma. But he doesn't say it directly. But of course, anyone with a little bit of logic or intelligence can see that. But the logic of such persons who are attracted to Mayavad philosophy or empiric reasoning, they'll never perceive this. So obvious, Mai pashati same. He says me 4 times in this verse that we just read. How can you be mistaken? But almost everyone is mistaken. One time, when I was traveling from Mangalore to Bangalore, and we sat next to one gentleman, he said, so why are you dressed like this? I said, well, we're devotees of Krishna. He said, oh, Krishna. Yes, I know everything about Krishna. And so he said, oh, so you must be expert in Bhagavad-Gita. No, I never read Bhagavad-Gita, but I know everything about Krishna. So this is what we're up against now, like this type of illogical reasoning, fanaticism, etc. Such people can never understand Bhagavad-Gita. So here, Krishna says that this is actually, it's like a hint of what is the vision of the Mahabhagavat. This is actually Mahabhagavat vision. Seeing everything in Krishna and seeing Krishna in everything. But at this point in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna doesn't dwell on this realization because Krishna doesn't want, the type of persons that think that they're Mahabhagavats when they can't control, they can't follow the 4 regulated principles, but I'm a Mahabhagavat because I see Krishna everywhere. So this is not an intellectual exercise. This is something, and therefore Srila Prabhupada quotes Brahma Samhita, that this is a vision that comes from the heart. But what kind of heart? A purified heart. And the heart part has to be purified. Many times I've made the point that we have basically 3 types of eyes. These material eyes, which are not very useful for self-realization. Of course, if you're a devotee, then you can go see the Lord, Radha Shama Sundar, Krishna Balaram, Gaur Nitai, so many different deities all over the world, Radha Krishna, Gaur Nitai, everywhere, Jagannath. Yes, they can be very useful, but generally speaking, they don't reveal Krishna very easily. Actually, Krishna has to reveal himself, which he says which is said in the Svatashvatara Upanishad, that Krishna reveals himself, and that's the only way you can see him. Yame Veshavinute Tanulabhyas Tashayasha Atma Vivinute Tanum Svam. That one can have great intelligence, or one can read so many Vedic literatures. But it's said in the Upanishad that na bahunam na shutena, na medaya na bahuna shutena, that by great intelligence one can't understand. Otherwise, by some intellectual analysis of this verse, even if I understand, here's Krishna speaking about himself, he's speaking about us, seeing him everywhere. by that intellectual understanding, we don't achieve the highest platform of bhakti. We achieve that platform when, as Srila Prabhupada quotes here in his purport, that Premanjana Chutita Bhakti Vilochanena, when our eyes are anointed with the salve of loving devotion. And then Krishna, he who cannot be revealed by intelligence, by reading so many Vedic literatures, by Nayamatma Pravachanena Labhyo, cannot be attained by attending different lectures. Even now, so many of us have gone to so many lectures, hopefully, not just here in Vrindavan, and then I get back home and business as usual. No. We have to take this experience and increase and go on in evolving in Krishna consciousness. But even if we go to so many lectures, if we don't put Krishna consciousness into practice, then our Krishna consciousness will not prosper very quickly. And of course, Sri Vrindavan Dham is a great opportunity to put Krishna consciousness into practice, because if you don't see Krishna everywhere in Vrindavan, of course it may be a little harder in Loy Bazaar, but you can also see Krishna. It's part of his transcendental abode, even though if one is not careful, one can lose one's transcendental vision. But here, if we don't take advantage of Vrindavan, if we don't take advantage of the most important thing, the association with the Vaishnavas, as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructs us, Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtan, these two things, especially in Bhagavata Shravan. So Bhagavata Shravan includes Bhagavad-Gita. We hear Bhagavatam, we hear Bhagavad-Gita, but we do so in the association of devotees. We can hear Bhagavad-Gita by reading, but then one has the obstacle of the mind. One's mind may not perceive what Krishna is saying. One may want Krishna to say something that Krishna is not saying, or one may read into what Krishna is saying something that one wants to hear, because we're conditioned. But still, it's very wonderful because Srila Prabhupada is explaining everything so nicely. So even better, we can hear on the internet. But on the internet, you may not be able to ask questions. And on the internet, you may be distracted. Just like I know many people that are hearing on the internet while they're cooking, hearing it while they're getting dressed. So you get some benefit. But the greatest benefit is hearing in the association of devotees. Because here, of course you can do it, but it's harder to sleep because then everyone will, see he's not paying attention. And by the association, by the Shakti that's generated by the association of the devotees, we become more inspired to try to hear more carefully. And we can also ask questions, and we can inquire, and we can participate. So this is and what to speak of doing that in Sri Vrindavan Dham. So this is the greatest opportunity we have here. And material eyes can be engaged. But better than the material eyes are the eyes of knowledge, Jnana Chakshusha, which Krishna speaks about in the 15th chapter. If we have these eyes of knowledge, we can see things through Krishna's vision, or through Srila Prabhupada's vision, through the Acharya's vision. This knowledge is there. And so if we use our material eyes properly, and we use our eyes of knowledge properly, then, as Lord Brahma says, Hridayeshu bilokayanti. These are the best eyes. Bilokayanti. Therefore it's mentioned twice, bilochanena and bilokayanti. 2 times. These are the best. This is the best eye, the eye of the heart. But if the heart is contaminated, then the vision as Prabhupada gave the example so many times, if you see this light or any light through colored glass, then it will appear to be a different color. But it's actually a white light. But it appears differently. So if our vision of the Supreme Lord is through a heart which is not cleansed, then we won't see things properly. And therefore, it's very important for such a devotee, so that such a devotee is not lost. Of course, Krishna says here that a devotee is never lost to him. And in one sense, Krishna can be lost to us, if we don't have transcendental vision. But really, a devotee can never be lost to Krishna. But Krishna appears to such a devotee as Paramatma, because that's what the devotee is asking for. Maybe not even asking for that much. Maybe they don't know who Paramatma is. Even a duck may be doing better, because they listen to Paramatma. Sometimes they get in the water and Paramatma tells them what to do, and they swim. But sometimes we don't listen to Paramatma in any form, in Krishna's form or in Paramatma's form, so we have to cooperate. And this is what, if we do that, as Lord Brahma says, Yat Shama Sundaram Achintya Guna Swarupam, we will see Shama Sundara Achintya Shama Sundar. We won't see Shama Sundar sentimentally. We will see Shama Sundar practically. We will see him in his glorious Achintya Guna. In the Bhagavatam, in the prayers of Lord Brahma, in one prayer, he mentions that one name of Krishna is Gunatma. That you are the Lord of all qualities. Actually, you're the Atma of everything, but Gunatma. So if we want to develop good qualities, we have to associate with Krishna. Otherwise, we cannot. We won't have the proper vision. So Krishna is the soul. Otherwise, every quality that exists is coming from Krishna. And of course, this later on, Krishna will say, Aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate. Everything's coming from me. And this is what Srila Prabhupada is emphasizing here in the purport, that you can't get away from Krishna. Otherwise, Krishna is everywhere. You can't, there's nothing that's not related to Krishna. But to be able to see that is the state or the stage at which Krishna has led the person who's hearing Bhagavad-Gita. Arjuna, of course, is hearing, but now we're hearing. He's brought us to that stage. So, something I noticed here in the purport as we were reading, living entity can never be annihilated and is never out of sight of the devotee. But if a devotee thinks that what Krishna is talking about here is merging into his existence, then the devotee, in one sense, or the person, is annihilated. Of course, a devotee would never think that way. It's spiritual annihilation. The soul is not annihilated, but spiritual annihilation. Otherwise, you can't see things. That's not exactly what I was looking for. I read something here and I thought of it. I should have stopped. Anyway, I'll come back to that when. So, when Durvasa Muni was speaking to the Lord told him, he said, please save me from your Sudarshan Chakra. And Lord Vishnu said, how can I do that? How can I possibly do that? Because actually, I'm under the control of my devotee. Aham bhakta paradi. No. That I am under his control. And then he said something very beautiful. That Sarvo Hridaya Mahyam Sadhunam Hridayam Tvaham. That actually I am within the heart of my devotee, and the devotee is within my heart. Maranyat na te na janati. And for a devotee, there is nothing else but me. And for me, also, naham te bhyo managapi. There's not even a fraction of anything else. So I often use the example of Mahavishnu. The whole, everything that we observe, everything, this whole material nature, that people are so they're so bewildered by, or they're so fascinated by this universe, the universe's telescopes, the ocean, all kinds of creatures, Discovery Channel. You see all kinds of little things with 10 legs and 15 eyes, and they're all very wow. But this is all being done by Mahavishnu. It's all being done by Mahavishnu, and he does it sleeping. He's sleeping. He's not even making. How much effort does it take us to sleep? Of course, if you're insomniac, then it may take. But a normal person, especially if you've been serving Krishna all day long, working very hard, whatever, then it's so easy to sleep. So this is the ease with which the Lord expands himself to create the whole material existence. But in the form of Krishna, he's not interested in material existence. Even to create it, he does it while he's sleeping in an expanded form. So in his original form, what is he in? What if there's one devotee? If there's a Prasad Maharaj, a little tiny devotee, being harassed by Hiranyakashipu, the Lord will come. He'll immediately come. If there's some devotee anywhere who simply depends on Krishna, as Srila Prabhupada said, that Krishna takes personal care or personal interest and care in the devotee. When the devotee has relates to Krishna as a child, like a child crying for his mother. And this is being expressed here in the purport, that a devotee is full in loving service of Krishna and cannot live without Krishna. Later on in Bhagavad-Gita, it describes what are the necessary qualifications to be in that state. Ananyas chintayantamam ye jana payupasate nityam tesham nitya vinyuktanam yogakshemam baham yaham. That a devotee, first of all, has to be fully absorbed in Krishna. Bhaktyatvananyaya shakya. That bhakti must be anyaya. It must be ananya, or free from anything else. Ahetukya pratyata. Free from anything else and continuous. So that continuous nature of devotional service, as Krishna says, how does it manifest? Ye jana payupasite. A devotee is always engaged in worshipping the Lord. Tesham nitya abhiyuktanam. Abhiyuktanam. He's not just yuktanam, he's abhiyuktanam. Nitya abhiyukta. He's not just joined with Krishna, very, very much relating to Krishna always, but always nityam. Fully relating to Krishna always. These two things, ahaitukya pratyata. So Krishna mentions that in Bhagavad-Gita. It's mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the nature of devotional service. It must be this way. So, just trying to remember that point that I saw when I was reading here. In a sense, that Krishna becomes everything for the devotee, and the devotee becomes full in loving Krishna. So, this is, Srila Prabhupada said, This is beyond self-realization. Otherwise, Srila Prabhupada is emphasizing that now, from this point on, Krishna has revealed that the nature of devotional service is relating to him. First he said, you relate to Paramatma. What is the benefit? You will never lose sight of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No. And then in the next verse, it says, who that, Krishna confirms who is that person. No. And so we'll read the next verse. We won't repeat it because of the time factor, but we'll read the verse. Sarva bhuta stitam yo mam pajantyekatma ashtitaha sarvata vartamanopi sa yogi mai vartate. So the first thing said here, sarva bhuta stitam yo mam, that as Krishna has said, and Krishna says throughout the Bhagavad-Gita in many different places, I am situated in the heart of such a devotee. And this time Krishna confirms, yo mam, me, it's me. It's not, and I am that Paramatma. I am that person who is always there with the devotee. And bhajantyekatvam astitaha actually means, of course, the impersonalists would say ekatvam, he's one with the Lord. But that oneness is explained by Srila Prabhupada here and by our acharyas. It means that one is fully engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. And the Lord is fully absorbed in such a devotee. In this morning's Bhagavatam class, Mukunda Dutt Prabhu, he was making this point, that it's not that Krishna being so capable and so complete, being the Supreme Person, he loves the devotee more than the devotee can love him. Actually, if there's any difference, the devotee has the advantage. Because Krishna, we're just a tiny jiva, and Krishna is the unlimited Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Krishna can give us everything. But what can we give to Krishna? What can the tiny jiva give to Krishna? Therefore, we are the recipient of so much. But Krishna is so full of so much love for his devotee that he feels equally. He doesn't have to feel equally. Just like anyone in this material world, generally speaking, there may be a few exceptions. Anyone who has so much power, like the Supreme Personality of Godhead, why would he even have to pay attention to the living entities? But in this month, we're celebrating, not only does he pay attention, but he becomes subservient. He becomes totally so subservient to Mother Yashoda that he's fearful. He's fearful. We were discussing this last night, that he's fearful. He's so fearful that he prays to his mother and he says, Kritagasam, I'm an offender. But he said, I admit I'm an offender, and I submit myself if you just throw away the stick, and then we can negotiate, as Krishna was saying, more or less. And so, this is so amazing that Krishna puts him. So one time Srila Prabhupada said, well, he may have said it more than one time I heard it, that if an impersonalist may make such a great effort to become one with the Lord, but the devotee is more intelligent, he becomes greater than the Lord. Of course, a devotee doesn't aspire to do that. But that's what Krishna aspires for. Krishna wants his devotee. Just like even in our level, a pure devotee, the greatest pleasure of a pure devotee or a spiritual master is to see that other devotees or the disciples become more advanced. This is what they want to see. Not that let me maintain everyone in a subordinate position. And We can see, where does that come from? Everything comes from Krishna. Krishna doesn't want to maintain everyone in a subordinate position. Krishna wants to put his devotee, as Srila Prabhupada said, what does Krishna do to Arjuna? He becomes his charioteer, and Arjuna becomes the leader. He takes all the credit. No? What did Lord Chaitanya do with Namacharya? He was born had a low birth, considered himself a Shudra or less, but the Lord made him Namacharya. That Ramananda Roy was a politician and a Kayasta, but Lord Chaitanya made him give the highest revelations of bhakti. So Rupa and Sanatana Goswami considered themselves outcasts. They were considered by the society outcasts from the Brahminical society, but he made them the revealer of Sambandha and Abhideya to all the devotees. So the Lord always trying to put his devotee in a greater position. Of course, a devotee doesn't think, oh, well, that's good. I accept that proposition. Yeah, I'll take a higher position. No, a devotee just wants to serve Krishna. So bhajan yekatma ashtitaha. And sarvata vartamano pi. Srila Prabhupada says here, in all respects, he's always situated. And then he says something interesting. Api sayogi mai vartate. In spite of the fact that he's in a lesser position, he still, in spite of any condition that he's in, he always remains the Lord's devotee. That api in this verse refers to the fact that that sometimes, just like sometimes the devotee may not have enough money or may not have enough facility, apparently according to him, his evaluation. So someone may become a little discouraged, but a devotee actually is always very grateful for the Lord's intervention, however it may come. Even if the Lord manifests his difficulties. Vipara santu ta shashvad tatra tatra jagat guru. As Queen Kunti said, oh my dear Lord, let these difficulties manifest again and again. I'll be very happy if that happens. Because by doing that, bhavato darshanam yad syat, by doing that, I can always have your darshan and apunar bhava darshan. And I will never have to see this material world again. So this morning in the Bhagavad-Gita class, there's a comment that a devotee, if they have the proper vision, then they see everything as part and parcel of Krishna. Yes, that's true. But when a devotee sees like that, Srila Prabhupada was walking, I've given this example many times, he was walking in Los Angeles on the beach, and one devotee commented, the sun was just coming up over the mountains, and one devotee commented, oh, Srila Prabhupada, this is so beautiful. And Prabhupada said, no. But Prabhupada, isn't everything part of Krishna's beauty? Prabhupada said, yes. But you are not seeing it that way. And Prabhupada could see it. Although it is part of the beauty is coming from Krishna, and it is beautiful, but from a devotee's point of view, that isolated beauty, that little fragment, or not even a fragment of beauty that may be there from the physical, external point of view, is without seeing it related to Krishna, it's just insignificant at best. So we'll read Srila Prabhupada's translation and purport. Such a yogi who engages in the worshipable service of the Supersoul, knowing that I and the Supersoul are one, remains in me in all circumstances. So here we see Krishna has clearly, although Srila Prabhupada adds in a little emphasis, but very clear. This is Krishna revealed, I am that super soul. I am that supreme person. I am that person who can never be lost to you, and I am that person to whom I can never be lost, and you can never be lost to me. Now Krishna is revealing himself. So his three, first, relate to the Paramatma, the benefits of relating to the Paramatma, and now, who is that Paramatma? No. And this is just like a continuum of the previous verse. That devotee always remains in me in all circumstances. So Srila Prabhupada says in his purport, a yogi who is practicing meditation on the Supersoul sees within himself the plenary portion of Krishna as Vishnu, with 4 hands, holding a conch, wheel, club, and lotus flower. So this is the vision of a yogi. The yogi should know that Vishnu is non-different from Krishna. Krishna is this form of the Supersoul. In this form of Supersoul is situated in everyone's heart. No. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Sri Rangam, he had this interchange. Srila Prabhupada says here, a devotee should know that Vishnu is not different from Krishna. So, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had his little interchange with Venkatabhata, so Venkatabhata was saying, yes, Krishna is an incarnation of Vishnu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, well, if he's an incarnation of Vishnu, why is it that Lakshmi Devi, who's always massaging, who cannot leave the lotus feet of Vishnu even for a moment, why is it that she wanted to enter into the rasa dance? No. And he kept explaining that point from many different angles. And finally Venkatabhata said, I accept you. You are that person. You are that Supreme Personality of Godhead. Otherwise, he accepted that position. But Lord Chaitanya, of course, he was a Sri Vaishnava, so he didn't want to, he's worshipping Lord Ranganath, so he didn't want to interfere with his devotion. He said, yes, Vishnu and Krishna, they're the same. No. But he made that point, and Venkatabhata understood. No. So here, a devotee should know this. No. The yogi should know this. Otherwise, meaning that a yogi should be able to come to the point of understanding Krishna. I was in South India in one temple. It was a very interesting temple. There's a few temples like this, but this temple has an elephant in the gate, and you walk in and you stop by the elephant, and then either the elephant touches you on the head, which means you can go ahead, or she would put her trunk like this, meaning you can't come in. You know? And who's going to argue? You know? So luckily she let me in. You know? And so so immediately this devotee of Vishnu, he'd had some discussions with devotee. Immediately came up, Krishna is incarnation of Vishnu. I said, Krishna and Vishnu are the same person. No, Krishna is incarnation of Vishnu. So I looked around, I saw all the little reliefs on the wall, paintings, and so I said, so I just stopped for a moment. I just started counting now, and I said, so I can't remember the numbers now. There was like maybe 15 or 20 depictions of Vishnu's different activities, and there was about 100 or more of Krishna. So I said, so if Vishnu is the supreme, whoever's supreme will have the greatest amount of activities, Lila, Guna, Rupa, So I said, you see how many pastimes of Krishna are there? And he said, Krishna and Vishnu are equal. I said, yes, now we can agree. No. So he was very nice. Usually they won't even go that far. But anyway. But this is natural. Just like when Rupa and Sanatan, they would speak to Anupama. They, speak about the glories of Lord Chaitanya, and they were trying to get Anupama to surrender to Lord Chaitanya. So one day Anupama came before the Lord, and he was in anxiety, and the Lord smiled. No. And he said, "My dear Lord, I know that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No, I know that. But," he was crying, "I cannot give up my Lord Ramachandra." And Lord Chaitanya smiled and embraced him and said, "You should know that I am that same Lord Ramachandra." No, and he was very happy. So, a devotee worships different forms. Of course, the followers of Lord Chaitanya, generally speaking, they worship Krishna. Even Murari Gupta, he was worshipping Krishna, although definitely his most worshipable deity in the deepest portion of his heart is Ramachandra. So, Krishna is the form of Supersoul. In the form of Supersoul, situated in everyone's heart. Furthermore, there is no difference between the innumerable Supersouls present in the innumerable hearts of the living entities. No. So this is one example that Srila Prabhupada gives again and again and again. No. That just like if the moon is, of course could be the sun, but the moon is shining in the sky and there are ripples in the water, you'll see so many moons, but there's only one moon, and they're all reflections. Of course, those are reflections. In this case, each one of the Lord's presence forms in each living entity is the Lord. So that was Srila Prabhupada's example. Many times he's given. No. Nor is there a difference between a Krishna-conscious person always engaged in transcendental loving service of Krishna and a perfect yogi engaged in meditation on the Supersoul. Yat karoshi adashnasi yat jahosi dadasi yat yatat yat tapasyasvi konteya tat shravararpanam. That a devotee is expert in offering everything to Krishna. As Rupa Goswami says, Iha yasya harer dasye kamana manasa gira nikilas vasya su jivan mukta sa uchate. That if a person is situated in the service of the Lord within this world, even though they may be performing so many different types of activities within this world, apparently like an ordinary person, they're jivan mukta, they're liberated. Why? What is their special characteristic? Kamana manasa gira. That all of their activities, all of their thoughts, and all of everything they say, everything that emanates from them is fully imbued with Krishna bhakti, with Krishna consciousness. That is their special characteristic. So therefore Srila Prabhupada said, because generally speaking, when people are embarking on spiritual life, they're attracted to some mystical processes, and because mystical generally means that I can ascend and I can achieve. I can do it by my own effort. Or as Frank Sinatra said, but many young people may not know who that was, but those of us who are a little older, he said, "I'll do it my way." So this is the Mayavadis, the Jnanis, the yogis, they want to do it their way. But a devotee wants to do it Krishna's way. So therefore, although Srila Prabhupada apparently equates these things here, actually the devotee is so much better situated because they never do anything outside of Krishna. Their meditation is so deep that it includes everything. It includes every activity. It includes every breath. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was speaking intimately with Ramananda Roy and Swarup Damodar, he said, he was speaking about, being absorbed in the thoughts of Radha and Krishna. And then he said that actually, I'm just paraphrasing now, I'm a pretender. I must be a pretender because I'm maintaining my life in this world. If I had real love for Krishna, I would not be able to breathe in this world. I would immediately give up my life. Otherwise, of course, we don't do that. We don't. Let's all give it. No. But he was just making the point that if you're maintaining your life in this world for some purpose other than just satisfying Krishna, then, and he said that doing anything outside of Krishna consciousness is just like although it might be a tiny spot, if you have a tiny black spot on a white sheet, it becomes very noticeable. So he said, everything I'm doing, all this devotion, everything, it's just a show. Of course, it's Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but he's revealing to us that one must really be absorbed in Krishna to be Krishna conscious. No, it's not external, it's not mechanical, it's something that we have to do in full dedication. So, the yogi in Krishna consciousness, even though he may be engaged in various activities within the material existence, remains always situated in Krishna. This is confirmed in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1287 of Sri Rupa Goswami. Well, I already said this. Nikilas Vasya Vastasu Jivan Mukta Sauchate. A devotee of the Lord, always acting in Krishna consciousness, is automatically liberated. In the Narada Pancharatna, this is confirmed in this way. Dikala Navarvach Chinhe Krishna Cheto Vidhaya Cha Tanmayo Bhavati Kshipram Jiva Brahmaniyo Jayat. By concentrating one's attention on the transcendental form of Krishna, who is all-pervading and beyond time and space, one becomes absorbed in thinking of Krishna and then attains the happy state of transcendental association with him. Krishna consciousness is the highest stage of trance in yoga practice. So here, Srila Prabhupada makes the distinction. He's making the distinction, and now he makes it very clear. This very understanding that Krishna is present as Paramatma in everyone's heart makes the yogi faultless. The Vedas, Gopal Tapani Upanishad, confirm this inconceivable potency of the Lord as follows. Ekopi san bahudha yo vibhati. Although the Lord is one, he is present in innumerable forms, innumerable hearts as many. Similarly, in Shmriti Shastra, it is said, Ekevo paro Vishnu sarva vyapi na samshaya aishvaryad rupamekam tam suryavat bahudeyate. Vishnu is one, and yet he is certainly all-pervading. By his inconceivable potency, in spite of his one form, he is present everywhere, as the sun appears in many places at once. So, just to conclude, I'm sorry that I went a little over time, but since we had to cover two verses very quickly. So I was mentioning that how Queen Kunti said that even in difficulty, we find we should be able to see Krishna. So I was thinking of that on the way over, because it's fairly easy if one actually understands something about devotional service. You see the beautiful form of Radha Shyam Sundar, although sometimes there's so many devotees it's hard to see, but if you can get in there and squeeze your way through, you can see. You know, if you had bad vision and you're in the back, you may have a problem, but still the Lord is there. But in the midst of difficulties, that is the real test. As Srila Prabhupada quoted many times, your sadhana will be tested at the time of death. You may have all kinds of, practices that you do, but how good they were, how effective they were, that will be tested at the time of death. So, just like Haridas Thakur, he was beaten and tortured. I mean, first he was put in jail, then he was tortured and beaten, and then he was thrown into the Ganga. And when he floated down the Ganga and he came out, when he came out, all the Brahmins, they were worshiping him. Oh, you're still alive. This king, how could he do this? He's a rascal. And they were just, he said, no, please. I was very fortunate. I listened to blasphemy against the Lord. I should have been terminated. But the Lord was so merciful. He just he gave me this little lesson. I'm so fortunate. He wasn't even thinking now if somebody tried to do that to us, we'd think, Krishna, strike him down with lightning. Or hopefully, we're not so advanced. But no, he thought himself so fortunate. Or also Mukunda, when the Lord had his Mahapravarana Lila, when he revealed himself for 21 hours to all the different devotees, Lord Chaitanya, everyone came and it was revealed, and even Mother Sachi finally, Srivas asked about her, why is she not getting Krishna Prem? He has offended Lord Advaitacharya, and Advaitacharya came and she touched his lotus feet. Everyone. But then Srivas said, what about Mukunda? And Lord said, Mukunda, don't even speak his name. No. He has one hand on my feet and the other hand on my throat. No. Although sometimes he's associating with the devotees and sometimes he mingles with the Mayavadis. No. So I cannot give him darshan. And so Shiva, so you can tell him that. No. So Mukunda actually heard it, and he was very forlorn, and he was thinking, what's the use of maintaining this body? What's the use of living? And then Srivas came. Lord Chaitanya said, so you go, you tell him that maybe I can see him after, when some places it says many thousands of births, some places it says million births, but a long time. And so Srivas said, the Lord says he will give you his darshan after 1,000,000 births. And Mukunda became ecstatic. He started dancing. Oh, only I have to wait 1,000,000 births. That's all. Talk about patience. Sometimes we get a little impatient if we have to fast till noon. But no. And then Lord Chaitanya embraced him. He said, Mukunda, you're my devotee. But I had to illustrate through you the danger of materialistic association. So these are the tests that ultimately we will get in our execution of Krishna consciousness. And this is when we really have to remember that Krishna is everywhere and Krishna is in every circumstance. And if we do that, then our spiritual life, our Krishna consciousness will be successful. So these are some thoughts on these verses. Stop here. Are there any questions, comments? Yes. You have to speak up a little. I'm half deaf. So
Krishna says here that everything is in him, and he is in everything.
Mm-hmm.
And
there we go.
And so just today, I saw, with my own 2 eyes, a monkey with a hole in its stomach, a dog with a hole in its head, and multiple cows with broken legs. And one devotee was hit by a rickshaw. So why is there so much suffering?
Well, you can say they were holy, no? And Vrindavan, but so much suffering. Well, of course, this is the material world is the place of suffering. Why is there suffering in general? No, not just here in Vrindavan. Why is there suffering? Because that suffering, as Queen Kunti said, apunar bhavadarshina. When we see, because material nature is temporary. Krishna says, dukkhalayam ashashvatam. Everything is full of misery. Why? Because it's temporary. And it's temporary, and by that temporary nature, it's always changing, it's always transforming, it's always transmuting. Now, the dog, the monkey, the cows, it's very, of course, a devotee is sad to see anyone suffering. But for a devotee, kripam buddhi, vadukka dukkha. So the devotee is inspired when he sees suffering, to try to stop the suffering of others. A devotee is who's like an ocean of mercy. They want to stop the suffering and want to help all living entities come to Krishna consciousness. So the material world is full of suffering. And for the devotee, there is no suffering. A devotee only suffers when he sees the suffering of others. Because a devotee accepts everything that's happening in his life, or in their lives, as Krishna's arrangement. So sometimes this is a difficult thing to see. Why is there suffering in Vrindavan? Because, especially animals in Vrindavan, especially higher animals in Vrindavan, Srila Prabhupada said many times, the dogs and the hogs, that they are yogis or transcendentalists who committed some sinful activity or some great, they were making progress in the spiritual path, or some devotee who committed some great sinful act or great aparad. But they did so, they were very close to becoming Krishna conscious, just like Bharat Maharaj became a deer. So sometimes these yogis will become an animal because they've achieved some degree of Krishna consciousness. And if they become an animal in Vrindavan, they'll naturally be suffering. Just like we see monkey, you throw some food to the monkeys, what will they do? 10 of them will be fighting with one. Only one of them will get it, and they're all fighting. You throw some food to a dog. Dog doesn't think, there's some other dogs here. Let us all share it. Let me divide it up into. There's 10 other dogs. Let me divide it up into 10 pieces, and they'll all fight. But that suffering that they have to go through is guaranteeing them that they can enter into Krishna's realm, into Krishna's abode. So, although they may not perceive it in that way, that's what's happening. Just like even many of the residents of Vrindavan, we see they may be smoking bidis, or they may be doing this, but they never leave Vrindavan. And you say Radhe or Hare Krishna, immediately they become blissful. So they're taking their last birth in this material world. And of course that doesn't mean, let me come to Vrindavan and smoke bidis. Then I just won't leave. Actually, there was one person who was a devotee, and he had that mentality. And I actually warned him. I said, you can't think like this. He said, I'm just, I have this Maya and that Maya, but I just, I'm going to stay here in Vrindavan. But what happened? He got sick, and he fainted, and then someone rushed him to the hospital in Delhi, and he died. So you can't force Krishna to, Krishna, you have to accept me, you have to take me here. Yes.
There's a story, Prasad is talking to a monkey.
Oh, you want a microphone?
Run a dominar in that. I want to tell the story.
I think we need a cordless mic. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Prabhupada is at Radha-damodar, and he's in his room. And his cook outside, listening to Prabhupada talking to the monkey. So the conversation went on for a while, Prabhupada talking to the monkey talk. Blah. So later, she asked Prabhupada, what were you talking about? This is Yamuna. So Prabhupada said, well, the monkey was, in his last birth, he was a Goswami. And I assured him that this life is your last life, and you go back to God. And what did the monkey want? He wanted to know when Prasad to be ready.
Hare Krishna. Yes, so everyone is very fortunate here in Vrindavan. And of course, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he advises us to take advantage. That's why he said, generally speaking, someone should only spend 3 days. Otherwise, if you're not ready to come here, and just chant and hear and serve and be absorbed in Krishna, better you spend 3 days only. But if you spend more than 3 days, then you should, take up Krishna consciousness very seriously. Otherwise, you may end up committing offenses. If you're not ready for Vrindavan. There was one lady, I forget where she was from, but she came, got off the plane. She was already like having cultural shock. And then she arrived here in Vrindavan and saw the pigs, like half their body all muddy, and it just took the taxi immediately back, went to the airport and went away. Of course, that was one side. The other side, there was one Bengali devotee that we brought to the U.S. She came, she arrived. The next day she was there, she went into a supermarket, saw the meat department, ran out, and said, "I cannot stay here." We had to send her back. Saw that, it was like overwhelming. So she had the right culture.
Another devotee who came to Vrindavan, and he was at the end of his life, so he had cancer and was going to die. So he came to Vrindavan, he couldn't tolerate it even for a minute, so he went back to LA and died a couple days later.
Hare Krishna. So any other question or? Oh, yeah.
Jayananda is having a kirtan party going down the street in San Francisco, and there was a big, huge hulk of a guy stopped him and said, "Stop chanting his name." And so he kept pushing him, and Jayananda kept going forward. But finally the guy got to the end of the curve and he stepped off and got quite a bus.
Hare Krishna. Don't stop the kirtan party, no.
Una pregunta. ¿Se puede?
Yeah, okay,
La
uno
digo en
más.
español. Por ejemplo, usted está mencionando cómo el Mahabharata no pierde la visión de Krishna, siempre ve a Krishna.
¿Siempre qué?
Siempre ve a Krishna en Mahabharata, el devoto Mahabharata.
Sí.
Siempre lo ve. Entonces
Sí.
significa que lo ve personalmente. Por ejemplo, cuando Srila Prabhupada estaba en Occidente, él no perdía la visión de Krishna, o eso es una forma de decirlo.
The question is, if someone is fully Krishna conscious, are they always seeing Krishna, like seeing Krishna in the form of Krishna? Like when Prabhupada was in Los Angeles or somewhere, did he just see Krishna? Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur answers this. He says that not that someone is personally seeing Krishna, but exactly like this verse, is always seeing everything within Krishna. He said this is the Mahabhagavat devotee. So, yes, Krishna.
But then in addition to this, that of course Prahlad Maharaj saw Krishna in the River, he saw Krishna everywhere, Nrsimhadev everywhere.
Yeah.
And Nimai Pandit, after he met Ishwara Puri, he told his students, "I cannot teach you anymore because I see Shyam Sundar everywhere." So
Yeah.
the question is a level on, of course, in this Uttamadhikari level, that you simply can't leave that platform, go down to the Madhyamadhikari platform to
Yeah, they always see Krishna, but Prabhupada gave the example, just like a mother sees the shoe of the child, she thinks of the child, not that the child is the shoe. So Vishwanath Chakravarti explains it in that way to show that actually one may be on the Mahabhagavat platform, or one may be engaged in activities of this world, but doing it for Krishna. And if they're doing it for Krishna with full Krishna consciousness, then they're also Mahabhagavat, even though they may not be seeing Krishna playing the flute. And actually Prabhupada warned us against that. It's not that we want Krishna to perform for us. Let's have a flute concert, and Krishna is Krishna's up today. We don't want to force Krishna to dance for us. We simply want to remember Krishna. And Krishna decides to reveal himself. Of course, Lord Chaitanya, he also exhibited that when he came from Gaya and coming back as chanting and blissful, and everyone was amazed. He said to Srivas Pandit, "Tomorrow I will reveal to everyone what is my anxiety." And he came in the house of Shuklambar. So the next day he came, and before all the devotees he said, "This is my dilemma. I saw Krishna, and I ran after Krishna, but he disappeared." No, that was his dilemma. No. So the point is that even Lord Chaitanya was demonstrating by his own example that it's not that, you're just seeing Shyam Sundar dancing everywhere. Of course, Lord Chaitanya, when he saw Jagannath, he would see Shyam Sundar. And Lord Chaitanya, can't compare ourselves, but so one may see Krishna at all times. That also may be true.
Talking about the person that was just thinking, well, I'll do whatever, but I'll stay in Vrindavan. There's a big difference between the person who thinks like that or the person who's struggling and doesn't always come to the mark. As I read about the people who become animals are the ones that come to Vrindavan with the spirit like that of enjoying.
Yeah.
There's
So
a big difference between that person and the person who doesn't quite come to the mark or isn't as good as he'd like to be.
yeah, someone may not come to the mark because they're but they're trying to do so. But we shouldn't come here and then be slack. And that's the point. We should be doing our best at every point. That's a good point. Thank you. So I think because of the time, we have one more question. That's it.
If I remember correctly, didn't Srila Prabhupada say that Arjuna couldn't directly think of Krishna because he had so many warriors, the king and this and that, but because he was doing everything for Krishna, he was Krishna conscious. So if he actually engaged in so many different services, but we are not actually thinking of Krishna or seeing that, isn't that also seeing Krishna everywhere?
Yes, of course. Arjuna's always seeing Krishna, always thinking of Krishna, always Krishna is everything for him. But when he's in the battle, when he's fighting with somebody, he may not be but he's doing it for Krishna. And of course, this example was there when Narada Muni asked Lord Vishnu, who is your greatest devotee? And he showed one farmer. So Narada Muni couldn't understand. How is this farmer? He sees him offer some prayers for a few minutes, then he goes out and plows the field. And so he couldn't understand, how is this the Lord's greatest devotee? And so the Lord told Narada Muni, you take this pot of milk, and I want you to walk such and such distance. Don't spill one drop. So Narada Muni, and of course Vishnu was there at the end of the trek, and he said, so did you spill one drop? And he said, no. And I said, so were you thinking of me? And no, I was thinking of no. But he was doing it for him. So he said, just the same way, the farmer, he prays, and then he goes out and does, but the objective of his prayer is that let me do my activities for the pleasure of the Lord. And because he's actually meditating in this way, he's a devotee. So we'll have to stop now. Arti starts in a few minutes. Thank you very much. All glory to Shri Guru, Shri Gauranga, Shri Prabhupada ki jai.